So you guys are now starting the second week of spring practice. After the first week, you got a chance to look at the guys with the pads on even. What's your thoughts of the defensive front so far?
A lot of work to do.
Yeah.
A lot of work to do. The effort's been pretty good. You know what? The dynamic, we've got a group, our frontline guys who play a lot of football, your Gelatis and your Purriers and your Tells and guys like that. And then there's a bunch of young guys, and I think that's a product of the portal, right? A lot of your middle depth pieces, and it's probably this way at a lot of schools, have moved on, so there's really no middle depth. We do have some newcomers, Jordan Gerard from Florida International, Maurice Davis, an early enrollee out of high school. So those guys, along with your Sadiq Clements and your Bruce Smithers and Micah Carter's, guys like that. So it's been good. Like I say, I think our older guys are kind of setting the tone, setting the tempo, and there's a lot of coaching going on the sideline because I encourage, Ashton and Ramon and those guys to take an active role and to be coaching those younger guys. So, like I say, it's been good so far. We got a lot of work to do to get those young guys better, and then we've got some guys, that are banged up a little bit right now. Jermaine Lole's not doing a whole lot, just some individual work. Tyler Barron probably not going to do a whole lot this spring. Transfer from Tennessee. We've got high hopes with him, and Jared Dawson is a little limited right now, so not doing a whole lot. So I mentioned a lot of people. So far, so good. Just trying to get those younger guys better.
In Ashton Gelati, he's a guy that considered going to the NFL and battled with that decision and came back.
Sure.
That instantly makes him a guy guys are going to look at. Are you seeing leadership stuff that you'd like to see from a guy in that type of role?
Absolutely, and that's the one thing I encouraged Ashton to do last year. He's not a super vocal guy. A lot of guys, well, I'm a leader by example. Well, at some point, somebody's got to open their mouth because we as coaches aren't going to be on the field. And so I think he's taken a step in that regard. He's not a yeller or screamer, but he's going to grab people, put their arm around them, take them to the side, talk to them, coach them up. So I've seen some growth there from him, and certainly just by how he plays. His effort level's off the table. When your best players are your best effort guys, your best practice guys, that helps you out a lot as a coach. So, and he's never going to change in that regard. We're trying to limit the reps. Obviously, there's really no reason for him to take a ton of snaps here in the spring. But Ashton's a guy that he doesn't want to just sit on the sideline. He's like, Coach, I came back because I want to improve, I want to get better. And that's what you love as a coach. There's a fine line in there with how much work he's going to get up there. But he's doing it from a coaching standpoint with the younger guys for sure.
Mark, kind of building off of that, what are you expecting to see out of Ashton in terms of his progress on the field? What do you want him to build on?
Well, I think his versatility, because we move him around and we do so many things. I think the one thing that the NFL wanted to see him do was kind of the same thing, right? They're not going to tell us where to play him, so they know he's going to fit in that same role for us, but he's going to do a lot of different things. I think they just want to see him maybe carry a little bit more weight this year. He's certainly a very powerful guy. He was kind of in the high 60s, maybe 70-ish last year. I think he's in the mid-70s right now, so he's carrying a little bit more weight. Might put on a little bit more in the summertime. We'll sit down and talk about that here after spring ball, how that extra 5 pounds, how that affected him. But shoot, man, he's super powerful. I know before we got out here for spring ball, he power cleaned over 400 pounds. That's almost unheard of. So, he's gotten stronger. He's gotten more explosive here in the off season. So he's right on track, and we're going to have to come up with some new wrinkles. I think, we're going to have some pieces opposite him. We're certainly losing Stephen Heron. Stephen did a good job for us last year. Cam Wilson, I thought, stepped in and did some good things for us. I really see an opportunity for Tyler Barron. They're not going to always be able to just shift their attention to Ashton. They're going to have to, acknowledge him into the boundary. And then I think A.J. Green is set to break out and be a really good player for us too. So excited about what the whole thing can look like coming this fall.
With A.J., what do you we kind of saw glimpses last year when he was out there. It's like, whoa, it's there. What is it about him?
Well, I just think, he's got that length and frame and long arms. I think so. God has gifted him with some great tools. I think he is a lot more confident just in terms of knowing the system right now. And now we're trying to get him out of the mode. Once we decided to redshirt him last year, I'm not saying he came off the accelerator, but it wasn't quite the same as it was when you're thinking, hey, I'm going to be playing and doing a lot of things. So we're trying to get him back in that mode of, hey, you're competing, not just to play now, but for a starting role. So he's going to be fine, and like I say, he's going to be a very good player for us.
You have some guys like Dez and Ramon and Mason who've played a lot of ball, played a lot of snaps. How much does that kind of help with having a big group and have some young kids to kind of, for them to show the way for some of those kids?
We talked about that here a few minutes ago. I think it's important that those guys do a good job of grabbing the younger players. So it's not just Ashton, but it's really each of those guys that you mentioned at their position. Jermaine Lolay's the same way. Jermaine's got to take George Gerard under his wing and try to get him up to speed in the system. It's a system that Jermaine, played all last year. Same thing with Tell and guys like Lou Spencer and even Tawfiq. Tawfiq, I've seen through 4 practices, has gotten better. And he's kind of maybe the one guy that is a middle depth piece. We lost a lot of those guys that were maybe in their second year, going into their third year, that transferred out. But he's one that decided to stay. Selah's another one that. I think when we're fully healthy, we've got a really good mix of older guys that have played a lot, and I see them doing a good job with the younger guys, because there's only so many sets of eyes out there with myself and John Morris and just the rest of our coaches out there. So Brenton Irvin's a young man that we just added as a GA. We lost Malik Miles to Murray State, so but there's only so many sets of eyes. So those older guys, I encourage them to continue to put those young guys under the wing and coach them throughout practice.
Brett mentioned Michael Carter. What was last year like for him in terms of early acclimated? What's his projection this season?
I think Micah's got a lot of talent, and really we see him growing into a defensive end, kind of where Ashton and Ramon play to the wide side of the field. Now, because of some injuries right now, we're playing him at that Leo position into the boundary. I do think that he's versatile and he can play both, but it's probably not totally fair to him right now from a mental standpoint. But number one, Mike is just an outstanding young guy. I mean, he's got a great personality, he's got a great vibe to him, but he's another one of those guys that God has gifted with great length and great athleticism. He used to be primarily a basketball player, and then kind of gravitated to football, over there at St. X, and missed a year with a knee injury. So he hasn't played a ton of football. So I think every day is a learning experience for him, and I'm really excited about his future for sure.
You've mentioned Tyler Barron a couple of times. May not see him this spring, but he was a really big get for you guys during the offseason out of the portal, and it sounds like you have pretty high expectations for him. What really stands out when we're looking at him on tape and what he did at Tennessee that said, hey, this is the guy we want to get here?
They utilized Tyler at Tennessee a lot like we use Ashton. He played, kind of their defensive end, and then when they, went to some different fronts, he would shift down inside, and I don't think he's as natural doing that as Ashton. Now, he held up and did very well for Tennessee at that, and, so I think his versatility was great, but I think we can really showcase his abilities at the Leo position into the boundary. So it's just a matter of, just getting healthy here this spring, and I think he'll have an outstanding summer. And, we're going to see him do more, probably less inside, probably strictly on the edge, stuff like that. And then we get into some of our different packages. We maybe move him around and move Ashton around and just create matchup problems for teams. Just because, again, I think now we're going to, I think with him and AJ into the boundary, I think we've got 2 legitimate pass rush threats that people can't just turn their attention to Ashton Gillotte all the time.
This time of year, you seem to like all the it's a time when you can tinker. I mean, is that not fun for you to move guys around and see what you've got, and you have enough depth to be able to do that, and with some injuries?
Yeah, we do. And I think Ron's even, taking it to another level with the defense too. We're looking at some things. Here's as well as we played last year, we didn't finish like we started. So we need to finish better, but we also need to have some new wrinkles in what we do, because people are studying us right now in the offseason. So we just can't line up, even though I think we have a package that's very wide and versatile, and our kids up front, our kids really, the whole defense do a good job of learning what we do. We've got to come up with some wrinkles as an entire defense. So that's what Ron's kind of in the process doing. We're doing as an entire defensive staff. But to answer your question, Joey, yeah, we take this opportunity to maybe look at some guys in some different roles and maybe dual train some guys right now to see if they can handle it. So that's certainly part of the spring.
It's still so early on in the year. Is there anyone so far that maybe has kind of caught your eye that's flying a little under the radar?
Well, caught my eye. I was going to say Ashton. I mean, just the obvious guys. I think Jordan Gerard is a guy that transferred from Florida International. Jordan right now just needs to be more consistent. I told Jordan he doesn't like to practice, and now will we get him to practice hard? Yeah, I think he's got a ton of ability. He's very strong, and so I think he and Jermaine at that 3 technique are going to be able to provide a 1-2 punch. And, but I see some strength and some explosiveness, and just some really nice skill set. I just see too much of this right now, and so and to be honest with you, these guys aren't in as good a shape right now as they will be at the end of August. We don't run a ton in the wintertime. We do some stuff just to be able to get acclimated to practice, but we don't train like we will in the summertime to get ready for fall camp. So these guys, some of them are kind of working themselves into shape, but he's caught my eye. A couple guys we haven't even talked about. Thor, who's not even here yet. Xavier Porter. I think those are 2 talented guys that will join us either in May or 1st of June. So, and then we'll have to look. The portal's going to open up again, and we'll see if there's maybe another depth piece that we need to add. But excited about our group as well as we played at times last year up front. I expect us to be better this year.
Mark, you mentioned how the NFL want to see a little bit more versatility out of action. When you say versatility, do you mean working both as a pass rusher and run support, or maybe kind of taking reps on the edge or some in the interior? When you say versatility, what is that?
I think he's been versatile for us. They really want to see him carry more weight. He's been super versatile for us. I can play him on both edges, even though he's primarily in the field. We can bump him inside on passing situations. I feel like I can put Ashton about anywhere on the defensive line, and so it's fun for a coach when you can move your best player around and he doesn't bat an eye. I mean, Ashton understands the entire defense. When you're a great player, you need to understand it that way so you know how everybody else around you fits. A lot of our young guys don't know that. They don't understand the big picture right now. And once you get that understanding, you play faster. So I misspoke if I said that they're looking for, they've seen versatility out of him. Now, maybe they want to see him, because really last year was the first time that he rushed off the edge. He had been in the previous defense here with Coach Satterfield. He'd been more of an inside guy. So I think, he's continuing to sharpen his tools as an outside pass rusher. He's super comfortable when you bump him inside. I think he can run circles around centers and guards all day long. I think we just need to fine tune, some of his edge rushes, and there's no doubt in my mind he'll do that. So I think his versatility is off the charts.
Did we get a roll on here?
Oh yeah, sorry. I get long-winded.